Hi, this is Billie Beene here with Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, November 11, 2024, and we say Happy Veterans Day. Time in Texas about 11 a.m. We'll begin by covering what's going on in the tropics. We had Rafael disappear. We had a second system near Cuba and Puerto Rico disappear. Now we have a new system developing south of the Yucatan. 0% chance of development in 48 hours, 40% in 7 days. Into Thin Air is putting out that this system could be also juiced up to form a new hurricane, SARA, to go into Florida November 20, according to models that are being put out. We need to definitely pray against that. And what we have going on in space weather, we have a 30% chance for more X-flares today, November 11. Yesterday, November 10, we had a 9.4 M flare that did release a CME that will reach Earth November 13. Now, yesterday, the Earth, in response to the 9.4 M flare, had shortwave radio and other comms affected in the South Atlantic Ocean. We've also had yesterday near Cuba, we had a 6.8, and before that we had a foreshock 5.9. They were about 7 to 9 miles deep. But this we could see further impact from these earthquakes near plate boundaries in the Caribbean in the coming days. So that's going on. And now some of the other things I'll cover: Texas border shootout, NATO pandemic plan, President Trump, his tax plan, and Arizona ballots. What's going on there? So we have this going on. Into Thin Air has a good video I'll link for you regarding the development of a new hurricane, SARA. Now we have this from Benjamin Fulford. President Trump's election is good for the world, and it will facilitate taking down the deep state, such as the Rockefellers and Rothschilds. And Benjamin Fulford brought this list out, some names of celebrities who said, if President Trump is elected, I'm leaving the U.S. Now, Hal Turner did have a video of a KH voter who said, oh, President Trump is elected? Well, I'm going to leave the U.S. I'm going to Hawaii. You know, Hawaii is a part of the U.S., but apparently geography wasn't this individual's strong suit. So that's going on. But these other individuals who said, oh, I'm going to leave the U.S. if President Trump is elected, include John Legend, Christy Teigen, Rob Reiner, Barbara Streisand, Whoopi Goldberg, Alec Baldwin, Taylor Swift, Bill Gates, Cher, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, AOC, and HRC. And we say, baby, don't let the door hit you. Go on. And also Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci most likely is in handcuffs now. So we have this. Benjamin Fulford is hearing intel that the Dems are going to pull out, the deep state are going to pull out all the stops to stop the inauguration, even if they have to start World War III. So that's going on. And Benjamin Fulford gives warning to President Trump. Watch out. for infiltrators into your inner circle. I believe President Trump is an individual who learns from experience, and I believe that first term was enough for him to know how to vet people. So that's going on, but the whole world and President Putin, we understand, looks forward to the opportunity to talk with President Trump about Ukraine. Coming to the table to negotiate is President Trump, who we know is a great negotiator. And we have this from Breitbart. 40% of women 30 and under voted for President Trump, the Gen Z women. President Trump won 38 states. Rolling Stone. President Trump wants to pass House Bill 9495, and that would give the president power over NGOs, you know, like the U.S. government funding George Soros, MoveOn.org, a group that funds and trains the BLM and the Antifa to do protests in the U.S. Yeah, the U.S. is paying for that because the money comes from the U.S. government to NGOs. So now President Trump wants to control, as president, NGOs. We say, way to go, President Trump. Attack our enemy within, who are facilitating and bringing in illegals and doing other anti-American, almost terrorist activities inside the U.S. So that's going on. And President Trump is describing some of the NGOs as being terrorist support organizations. That is true. Now we have from Bloomberg, President Trump. Okay, so the Republicans took the presidency. They took, it's believed, to have control of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. Some races are still in play regarding House positions. But another situation is the new leader of the Senate, the majority leader. And President Trump says the new majority leader must favor recess appointments, so that if the in the past, in his first term, the Democrats, I believe, controlled the House, and they would not allow President Trump to name individuals to his cabinet while they were on recess. So President Trump, this time, lesson learned, wants to work around that and says the new Senate leader must agree that President Trump can appoint members to his cabinet while the Senate is in recess. Fox News, one of the individuals running for the Senate majority leader, we have John Thune, Republican, South Dakota. He has been in the Senate, the minority leader. And he says he's open to President Trump's desire to for him to be able to appoint people to his cabinet while the Senate is in recess. Of course, I believe that politicians who want to maintain their job or move ahead would do well to be on board with whatever it is President Trump wants. President Trump came in with 312 electoral votes, carried 38 nations, 38 states and had a popular vote of 51%, not plus. I believe we'll see that increase as states finalize their voting. And I have this from a Facebook friend. So I put out, we have Georgia and then South Carolina. We had 43 monkeys escape from a Charles River and NIH Dr. Fauci research lab in South Carolina. And it's being, the lab was Alpha Genesis, which is controlled by Charles River Labs. Charles River is the group that put in the 43,000 monkeys recently in Brazoria County, crammed down the throats of local citizens. Monkey lab. So my Facebook friend says, one monkey has been captured in South Carolina. Now it's being put forth. This is our story, says Alpha Genesis Lab, that a lab worker left the door open and the monkeys escaped to a nearby monkey facility where they jumped over the fence there and were playing with the monkeys there, kind of like a play date. So one has been captured, and Alpha Genesis Lab CEO Greg Westergaard put this statement out. Yes, she's doing well, and she's eating a jelly and peanut butter sandwich. There's much more to this story, I believe, so I'll keep that on the back burner. Zero hedge. President Trump takes Arizona, and he also took all swing states. CNN makes history in U.S. elections. Electoral count 312. And President Trump secured a large portion of black voters, Hispanic voters, young voters, 18 to 29. President Trump indeed has a mandate from the American people across all demographics. And we have this. We have from, Hal Turner. Yeah, President Trump made this statement. Nikki Haley and Pompeo are not invited to this new term for President Trump. No. And Nikki Haley, I believe, had been ambassador of the UN. President Trump has named a new ambassador to the UN, Elise Stefanik, who had been heading up the Republican Party in New York. And President Trump, this is also from Hal Turner. Yeah, the FBI director, Chris Wray, it's believed by many American citizens that assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, PA in July, that there was some FBI collusion there. So, the current director of the FBI plans to resign before President Trump is inaugurated. I guess he wants to miss that famous line of President Trump in his TV Apprentice show, "You're fired." So that's going on. Yeah. And now we have this. President Trump tax plan. So this is coming out that apparently we will continue to have some type of U.S. citizen tax plan on individuals, However, it'll be greatly reduced. And an example, someone making $48,000 would pay $870 in taxes. If you made $81,000, you would pay $1,740. If you made $138,000, you would pay $3,970. Now, the current tax, if you make $50,000, is 22%. So we see $48,000 would pay less than $1,000. We see a dramatic drop in the tax percentage. Now, to offset this for the U.S. economy, President Trump will then put in place tariffs on goods coming into the U.S., and the tariffs will be 10% on all important goods and 60% on all goods coming from China. And just today, the U.S. told Taiwan no more chip sales to China. I suspect that's coming from President Trump. And the source for that is Hal Turner. Reuters. So we have several people running for the Senate leader. So we have Thule. He's a Republican from South Dakota. We have Rick Scott, Republican from Florida. And we have John Cornyn, Republican from Texas. Apparently, indicators are that the Senate will choose the individual backed by President Trump, and it appears to be Rick Scott, because we have Elon Musk coming out and endorsing Rick Scott for Senate Majority Leader. So that's going on. President Trump is getting his ducks in a row. And from Bloomberg. So in the House, the Republicans currently have 218 seats. We have 19 positions in play. Votes are still being counted. So in the House, we have a total of, we have a total of 435 seats. Currently, the Republicans carry 218. We have 19 in play. And, yeah, we have that going on. So races have not yet been called in many states, including California, Washington State. In California, they have mail-in ballots. We know how tricky it can be to count those mail-in ballots because, hey, you might overlook some boxes you have under the tables. Mail-in ballots. This is coming in from Associated Press, Arizona. 250,000 mail-in ballots have not been counted yet. Yeah. Excuse me, they have been counted, but there were questions about the signatures. And this includes Maricopa County and 7 other counties. Now, Arizona is saying Yes, we notified 250,000 individuals. We had questions about their signatures. And when there's a mail-in ballot and there's a question about the signature, then Arizona contacts that person and says, we have a problem with your signature or other information. You have, I believe it's 5 to 7 days to cure it. And just Sunday, the Arizona Supreme Court declined Arizona's request to the court to extend the curing time. So the curing time ended Sunday for 250,000 ballots where there were questions about the signatures. Now I'm saying, well, how is it that in 7 days you are able to contact the dead, the illegals, and so on? So I think these 250,000 questionable mail-in ballots will be set aside. So Arizona, it's being put forth, has swung for President Trump, Republican. Now, President Trump had strong coattails who voted, when a person voted for President Trump, uniformly they would also vote for Republicans in the Senate and in the House and so on. But in Arizona, I believe there's still several races in question. One of them is for the Senate, and that's for Kari Lake, Republican, and we're being given information that the Dem is beating her. The American citizens, and I'm sure in Arizona, really don't buy that. So that's going on. But now we're seeing 250,000 questionable ballots being set aside. So we'll see how these races go. Now, over the weekend, on Sunday, we had a shootout between the Texas National Guard, El Paso, across the Rio Grande River. We had Mexicans shooting at the Texas National Guard. The Texas National Guard returned fire. But that's going on. No, this didn't happen on the weekend. It happened Thursday night and Friday morning. And we have a statement from the Texas military. The Texas National Guard continues to hold the line along the Texas-Mexican border. Late Thursday and early Friday, the Texas National Guard working El Paso area received small arms fire from across the border. The Texas National Guard postures now to surge additional forces to secure the border of Texas. And this comes from Steve Quayle's aggregate site, InfoWars' Alex Jones. And now we have this, The Hill. The biggest losers in President Trump's win is Mexico, Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Mexico is the biggest loser, led by a left-leaning government, Claudia Sheinbaum, I covered her campaign, and gee, she only had 37 assassinations take place during her campaign of political opponents and other people that were getting in her way. And it's believed President Trump is going to secure both the southern and northern borders of the U.S. and cut off the flow of illegals, drugs, and this could also impact trade with Mexico. Well, I got this to say to Claudia Sheinbaum. You push President Trump the wrong way, and pretty soon you'll have 100% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Mexico. No, if I were a wise leader of another nation, I believe I would play ball with President Trump, who is backed 100% shoulder to shoulder by the American people. So this is going on. So we have from Steve Quayle's aggregate site, a source, 100%fedup.com. Okay, so what do we have going on in PA? Now, I gave that information out in my last video, that intel from Hal Turner, that there were something like 1.2 million fake mail-in ballots coming from New York into Pennsylvania that were stopped by President Trump's team, the White Hats, on about October 25. Can it be that's why the mainstream media was so surprised that Pennsylvania went for President Trump? Could it be that the mainstream media was read in and knew about the possibility of fake mail-in ballots being counted in Pennsylvania? I guess they didn't know. Hal Turner couldn't release the information until November 6th, the day after the election. So that happened. Now, what's going on in Pennsylvania? So, we have a Republican senator from Pennsylvania, Republican, who beat a Democrat. So the Republican senator is Dave McCormick, and he beat out the incumbent Dem, Bob Casey. Bob Casey is refusing to concede. Chuck Schumer, majority leader of the Senate, Dem, is now saying he's not going to allow Dave McCormick to participate in the Senate orientation for new members. So Bob Casey refuses to concede. Chuck Schumer is not going to allow Senator McCormick into orientation. This happened 4 days ago. Pennsylvania Secretary of State Al Schmidt. There are 100,000 ballots not counted. Well, why haven't they been counted in the state of Pennsylvania? So I submit this will all go away. Dave McCormick is believed likely to have won the Senate race what we're seeing with these infighting and the Republican Dem party is just that. Now we have this from diswire.com that 138 counties, this is regarding the COVID pharma for the arm, produced by Pfizer, secret documents are coming out that the COVID pandemic was orchestrated by Nato. I submit, based on my own research, there was a collusion of both organizations such as the UN, NATO, WHO, the IMF, all these international organizations I believe the U.S. should immediately withdraw from and bring our U.S. military home. We need them here to expel at least 1.2 million CCP military, Iranian military, and terrorists from around the world. So withdraw from the UN, NATO, and so on. But this is being put forth that it was NATO who orchestrated the COVID pandemic. I believe NATO could have been a cog, but it involved many transnational organizations, governments, and so on. The Dutch health minister, Marie-Floor Ajema, admitted that NATO was involved in the pandemic. I would believe that they were involved. And also, this is being exposed by journalist Naomi Wolf. Isn't it good that we can look forward to President Trump putting in a Secretary of Health who will investigate? And that's RFK Jr. And we say to RFK Jr., bring it. And now we have this from Dr. John Campbell. He's a nursing prof, England, talking about withdrawal. This is a global withdrawal of the COVID pharma for the arm. And Dr. Campbell put out some good information. I'll link his video for you. He was going into graphs and showing historical data for, we would have various pharma for the arm, and this went back, I believe, to the 1950s. And say you would have 10 deaths. Well, you would immediately withdraw that medicine. What did we have with the COVID? We had, the COVID, directly related to the pharma for the arm, and we had a U.S. court in the last few months come out and make a determination that the COVID pharma for the arm was not a vaccine, it was rather a treatment. But this is going on. It's still, in many parts of the world, being called a vaccine. But what is being documented for the number of deaths directly related to the COVID? Something like 37,000. Directly related globally to the COVID pharma for the arm. And yet, it has not been recalled yet. So I say to RFK Jr., if you want a good source and a good researcher, I would definitely recommend Dr. John Campbell of England. And now, breaking news from Hal Turner. The U.S., Biden, JB, and the UK Starmer collude to blow up all underwater international internet cables to bring on World War III before President Trump can be inaugurated and collapse the world economy. So this is coming out. I'm totally confident President Trump and the U.S. military can handle this. And now I'd like to say this. And observing this day, November 11, Veterans Day, and I'm referring to the famous poem by John McCrae, Flanders Field. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. And so we salute our World War II veterans. And we, the American people, salute our World War II soldiers. And we also, as soldiers, stand shoulder to shoulder with President Trump to ensure that America goes forward under our Constitution, and we credit our World War II veterans who laid down their lives on Flanders fields. And so I say to my family and friends, remain steady, continue to pray. God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.